Good day, everyone. Okay, in 5.5 now, we are actually looking at simple inequalities. For this particular topic, we are actually having at two entities on the left-hand side and right-hand side, and they can be related by the greater than sign, lesser than sign, greater than or equal to sign, or less than or equal to sign. Okay, inequalities can actually also be used to look at the upper and lower bounds for different range of values that we actually have. So an example will be if we want to boil an egg and maybe it takes less than 15 minutes as shown here. Okay, so what happens is we have to define that time as t. So we can actually write this as t less than 15 as highlighted over here. Okay, so now moving down, there are some properties in activity 3 that we actually need to take note of. So in the first line itself, first row, okay, we have our left hand side as 10 times 5 equal to 50, and our right hand side is actually 6 times 5 as 30. We notice that 50 is still more than 30. So if that's the case, is there any change in the sign of the inequality? The answer is no. So conclusion, if x is more than y and c is more than 0, then cx is more than cy. Okay, so this is under the multiplication by a positive number on both sides of the inequality. Okay, moving on. Now, where we have division of positive number on both sides of the inequality 10 is more than 6, we realize that we have 5 on the left hand side and right hand side will be 3. Inequality is still 5 more than 3. So it's a sign reverse. This is still more, the left hand side is actually still more than the right hand side. So in this case, it still is the case. So there is no change in the inequality sign. As a result, over here it is no. And conclusion, if x is more than y and c is more than 0, x over c is more than y over c. Okay, please fill up the lines accordingly. I think this one I'll write it, do it with the underline sign. Okay, third row, multiplication by a negative number on both sides of the inequality. We have left hand side 10 times minus 5 equal to minus 50, and right hand side is 6 times minus 5, which is minus 30. Now, in this case, we realize that minus 50 is lesser than minus 30. In this case now, the left hand side now is actually lesser than the right hand side. So if that's the case, what do you notice? Yes, the inequality sign has been reversed. So if x is more than y and d is less than 0, then dx will actually be lesser than dy. Okay, this is actually an important part because a lot of times students tend to get confused when they are first doing simple inequalities. Okay, moving down to the fourth row, division by a negative number on both sides of the inequality. Okay, left hand side, let's say we have 10 divided by minus 2, we get minus 5. Right hand side, we have 6 divided by minus 2, which is minus 3. Looking at the values again, we have minus 5 on the left hand side and minus 3 on the right hand side. So if that's the case, we realize that minus 5 is actually lesser than minus 3. Left hand side is now smaller than the right hand side. So has the inequality sign been reversed? Yes, it has been. Okay. Conclusion, if x is more than y and d is less than 0, we have x divided by d, which is over here. I'll do it with the underline sign. Okay, so as I was saying, if x is more than y and d is less than 0, then x divided by d will actually be lesser than y divided by d. Moving down to the next portion, so we notice the addition property of inequality states that there is no change in an inequality if the same real number is added to both sides of it. So over here it should be no change. The subtraction property of inequality states that there is no change in an inequality if the same real number is subtracted from both sides of it. Okay, going on to the next page. For multiplication and division, okay, if we multiply both sides with a positive real number, okay, so will there be any change? There is also no change. In an inequality if both sides of the inequality are multiplied by the same positive real number. Okay, multiplication property of inequality states that there is what in the inequality sign if both sides of the inequality are multiplied by the same negative real number. Yes, there is a change. There is a change. There is change. In the inequality sign, if we are actually multiplying by the same negative real number. Okay, moving down to division. The division property of inequality states that there is no change. In an inequality, if both sides of the inequality are divided by the same positive real number. However, the division property of the inequality states that there is change in the inequality sign if both sides of the inequality are divided by the same negative real number. Okay, so looking at this, if x is more than or equal to y and d is less than 0, then dx will actually now be lesser than or equal to dy, and x over d will now be lesser than or equal to y over d. So if we look at the next line, if x is more than or equal to y and c is more than 0, then cx will be more than or equal to cy, and x over c will be more than or equal to y over c. Okay, so we'll proceed to do some examples. Don't worry about it. The first few examples are actually very simple. So first part, we actually have x minus 1 will be less than 1. So if you want to solve the inequality itself, it's very simple. What happens is we can actually add 1 on the left hand side and also add 1 on the right hand side. Okay, the logic is still the same as what we do for our equations. So in this case, what happens is I have x lesser than 1 plus 1. Okay, so this gives us x lesser than 2. And that's it. Okay, in part B, we have x plus 3 is less than 1. So to solve the inequality, very simply what we have is x less than 1 minus 3. Okay, now notice this particular part, and I'm going to just maybe write this in red first. Now, do I write this like this? X lesser than 1 minus 3, and as a result 1 minus 3 is equal to minus 2, and I write it like this and I treat it as my answer. Do you think it's appropriate? Okay, the answer is no, because now if we look at this entire thing now, if you look at this entire thing over here, it becomes one whole big mess and it's very confusing. Because am I saying that previously I was saying that x is less than 1 minus 3, now am I saying that x is equal to minus 2? It's confusing, right? So notice that in inequalities we do not write our answers in this manner. Okay, so for inequalities we need to be extra clear. So if I'm now going to say that x is less than 1 minus 3, my answer now will be x lesser than minus 2. So this itself will place our answer in a very clear light. Okay, so I put a hash over here and a hash over here. Okay, so let's move on to the next few questions. Next question, I have x minus 7 more than minus 4. So what I have over here is x more than minus 4 plus 7. So x will actually be more than minus 4 plus 7 gives us 3. Answer. Solve the inequality minus 2x less than 1. So in this case, what happens is I am dividing by minus 2 and also dividing So what happens on the left hand side now is minus 2x divided by minus 2. I will just have x. 1 divided by minus 2 over here. I will have 1 over minus 2. Okay, now what about the sign over here? I've actually made a division of a negative value. So in that case, does my sign need to change? Looking back at our notes, okay, dividing by a negative real number, the sign will actually need to change. So as a result, this sign over here now needs to be written as more than. Okay, so our answer will be x more than minus half. Okay, I hope this makes things a bit clearer. Okay, moving down to example 2, we have minus 2x less than or equal to 8. So x now will be more than or equal to 8 divided by minus 2. So this gives us x more than or equal to minus 4. Okay, for the next question, we have minus 3 over 4x is more than or equal to 6. So very simply now, I will have x lesser than or equal to 6 divided by minus 3 over 4. Okay, why so? Because actually, take note, I'm dividing by minus 3 over 4. And over here, I'm dividing by minus 3 over 4. Okay, so I'm going to do a workings without just keying in into a calculator straight away. Yeah. Okay, so what happens now is I have x lesser than or equal to 6 times minus 4 over 3. Okay, so what does this give us now? We know that 6 times minus 4 over 3 will give us a negative value because it's positive times negative. Okay, at the same time, this one, if I simplify, I will have 3 and 6 dividing by one another. So as a result, now my answer will be x is lesser than or equal to minus 8. Answer. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Part C. I have 1 over 5 x less than minus 3. So in this case now, my x will actually be lesser than minus 3 times 5. So simply is x lesser than minus 15. Okay, now on to the next one. the expressions get a little bit more complicated. So we have 3 over 14x more than or equal to minus 9 over 7. Now, looks complicated, but if we do our rules accordingly, it's not that difficult. So, same case, I want to have x on my left hand side. So what happens is I divide by 3 over 14. So this gives me x more than or equal to minus 9 over 7 divided by 3 over 14. Okay, so there's no change here because no change in actually the inequality sign because we are dividing by a positive real number. So this gives us x more than or equal to minus 9 over 7 times 14 over 3. So you realize it's very nice because you can actually simplify it. 1, 2. So as a result, we have x more than or equal to minus 6. Okay, and that's it for our lesson today. Thank you very much.